Hello everyone. So today we are going to do a tutorial on the corner to corner. We have a lot of corner to corner patterns and we get asked questions on, how to decrease, how to increase, although you're doing that from the beginning, how to use the yarn bobbins, etc. So we're going to do this small square today. We're going to do it from one of our patterns so you can see how that they're worked. And corner to corner, it actually is very easy. This is what the back of this is going to look like. It's very, ends. Of course, if you get an Afghan, it's going to be even more. But anyway, this is what it looks like. So in the corner to corner, just to kind of show you some other ones that we did this unicorn Afghan. I just printed out pictures here. I did a dump truck, little baby Afghan. That's my husband there helping. And we did a stash buster Afghan. And these are all available patterns on our website at www.thecrochetcouch.com. So we're going to start off. All of our patterns look like this. Now, we did start this several years ago, and some of the older ones might look a little bit different, but we are actually updating them all. I'm going to go ahead and get my water over here so that they all will be exactly the same. So I'm going to go over this really quick, and then we'll go ahead and work that square. All right, so first of all, you have the title, you have a photo of the graph, and then what you need. The yarn. I've recently become an affiliate of the Premier Yarns. I love them. You don't pay any extra, of course, when you order from our link. But I like them. They have a lot of color choices. They're soft. They have an economical version that's really not very expensive at all. I did the ounces that they have for their regular price, and then the ounces that the dollar store has for their dollar skeins of yarn. And the Premier Basics is actually less expensive per yard. And then they have, the nicer brands. They got some anti-pilling, etc. But anyway, any worsted weight yarn, though, will work. So then we have the colors and the yards. So for this project, the white, we need 43 yards, and the red, we need 17 yards. Now, some of the earlier patterns are written in ounces. And if you can't figure out how many yards you need, then just go ahead and drop us a letter. If we haven't updated that one, we'll get that updated for you. Typically for the corner to corners, the C to C's, I like to use the H hook or the 5mm. Mine is, you can see, pretty worn. I've used it for years. Then a yarn needle for weaving in the ends, and then yarn bobbins, and I use the plastic clothespins, but we'll go over that. The size of what it'll come out to, 9 inches by 9 inches. The gauge, 10 rows equals 8 inches. So if your gauge is bigger than mine, then your square is going to come out bigger. If your gauge is smaller than mine, then yours is going to come out smaller. And then the blocks are 11 by 11. So, and then it says to see the chart that shows other sizes using different yarn weights and hook sizes. That's actually on the last page. And since it mentions it, I'm going to go there. We also have, so if you want to use the worsted weight yarn and you want to use a G hook, then this is how much yards you would need. If you want to use a number 3 light worsted and an H hook, this is what you would need. Same thing as the sizes here. So this one, using a worsted weight with an H hook, is going to be 9 by 9. But if you use a light worsted weight with, say, an F hook, it's going to be 7 by 7. And then this gives the gauges. We also have the same thing in for the mini corner to corner. And we do have a video on our website on how to do mini corner to corner. It's very simple. But anyway, so if you use this pattern and you use a size H hook, at white and red, you'll need this much yarn, 28 yards and 11 yards, and it would come out to 7 by 7. So you should have this with each of the patterns too. All right, so it says the Afghan is made using, well, this is actually should say square. using the corner to corner pattern, following the color changes of the graph, or the row by row word chart, whichever you prefer to use. The patterns are long, and this one isn't that bad because it's a small square, but no, there are 3 different methods in our patterns for you to use. You do not have to use all of them. Just pick the one that you like the best and you know, go from there. All right, so to change color, just some pattern notes. On the final double crochet, when pulling through the last 2 loops, drop the color that you're working on and yarn over with the new color and pull through the last 2 loops on the hook. And again, we'll show you that in the video. Now this says, if you're going to be using the color right above it, don't cut the dropped color. There's many different commercial yarn bobbins on the market, as well as some handmade versions. I prefer to use the large plastic clothespins from the Dollar Tree store. You just wrap the yarn around the clothespins like this, you can see. And then when finished with that color, you can just clip it to your work and start on the next color. And again, we'll show you this in the video. This keeps you from having multiple skeins running and getting the yarn tangled and twisted. This actually is great. So whenever we're doing these, you can just have the yarn bobbins here, and even if you have 20 of them and they're all clipped to your work, you can easily pick up your Afghan and carry it, you know, if that's what you like to do. I actually crochet on this table when I'm crocheting. Now, and there are quite a few other methods for doing this. I know one of our testers uses old peanut cans and puts them in a bin and puts little balls of yarn in all of those. Some people use these wooden contraptions. I mean, it's totally up to you. This is just the method that I use, but it's not written in stone. And you, if you can't get the plastic clothespins, let me see. I thought that I had some cardboard ones that I used to use. Basically, I'm going to write on this pattern for you. Basically, I get a piece of cardboard and I cut it in the shape of a capital I. And then I wrap the yarn around here. And then I cut like a little indent right there to kind of, you know, put the yarn in there so that it stays and doesn't all unravel when I'm working on a different color. But you can cut those out of cardboard if you want to. And then also even on Etsy, there's a lot of different yarn bobbins that you can get. So it really is just a personal preference. Okay, so when doing the graphs, I usually start from the bottom left corner. Sometimes, because of a pattern design, it makes more sense to start in a different corner for less color changes. But nowadays, I pretty much write the pattern so that that's not the case. And for corner to corner, it does not matter if you're left-handed or right-handed. With a single crochet, the Tunisian simple stitch, the bobbles, you know, the mosaics, all of those, it does matter. But for the corner to corner, it doesn't. The only difference is going to be your front and back is going to be mirrored. But it really is fine. Like, we have a lot of left-handed testers, and, you know, it works out fine for them. Okay, so in the photos below, you're going to see the first row, the first block, or you're going to see the beginning rows numbered to show the order. So see, you have the rows here numbered. 1A is the first row, first block. So that's right here. And I'm going to kind of pull up the graph here to show you too. Let me find that so we can do that all at the same time. All right. So we'll get this. So this is 1A. Okay. Now you notice that this isn't numbered right here. There is a reason for that, and let me look. Yep, we do go over that, so I won't even mention that now. So anyway, so this is row 1 right here. Okay, and this is row 1A. So, and then you can, 2A is the second row, the first block, 2B is the second row, second block. So see 1A, then we got 2A, 2B, then 3A, 3B, 3C, D, 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 and that's how you're working it. Up, down, up, down. Okay, and that's one reason why I don't like to work from the graph, is because you do got to keep changing directions. So the odd numbered rows are worked up, and by up, I mean, like if the graph is facing you, you're going up. Now, the even rows I call downs because it's flipped over, and so you're basically working on the back side and you're working down, or you're working down the graph, you know. Do you see down? Okay, so we're going to go ahead. Well, I'll do that in a second, actually. So here are your basic instructions for doing it. And we're going to follow those in a minute. I just want to get through the pattern itself first. And it goes up to row 4. And then after row 4, it tells you just to continue working the pattern, changing colors according to the graph. Like that's all that you're doing. This portion here shows you how you're viewing rows when working. So, and that's that part that I wanted to show you in the graph. All right, let's see. We don't put the numbers here because this isn't row 1. So that doesn't make sense to do that. This is row 1. This is row 2. This is row 3. So that's how you're crocheting. So that's how they're numbered. And I know that not all other graphers do that. Actually, I don't think very many do. But it was confusing to me about the numbering, like why, if you started here and went up, then what were all of these rows? You know, there wasn't room for these rows, but now you can see this is row 11, and then row 20 and row 21. So you can get all of the row numbers in there. All right, so... and then you have your decreases, and this shows you how to do the decreases. And then right here, it's going to tell you in each pattern when to start the decreases. All right. Now, next comes, you have a row by row one. So we're going to look at the row by row one. And that's here. This tells you the same thing as a graph. Row 1, you're working up and there's one white square. Row 2, you're working down, there's 2 white squares. Just kind of keeps showing you. Row 8, you're working down, you have 2 white squares, 4 red squares, 2 white squares. All right, and I'll show you. Let's just do row, what were we doing? Row 8. So let's just do this. I should have brought my ruler in, but let's do this. So row 8 says down 2 white squares, 1, 2, and then 4 red squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 white squares, 1, 2. See? All right. Now, the next thing that you have is just a plain written one. And this is actually the one that I use, and I'll show you when we're doing it. It's very simple. It's just wrote out. No colors, very plain. Row 1, you're working up. You have 1 block in the row, and it's 1 white 1. You can go down here. Row 10, you're working down. You have 10 blocks in the row. You do 2 white, 5 red, 3 white. Very, very simple. Now, because of the decreases, when you are increasing at the beginning of a row and at the end of a row, the number of blocks in each row will increase by 1. If you decrease at the, like one side of it, you know, like say you're working and you're decreasing when you're working on this side, but you're increasing when you're working on that side, then the number of squares per row will stay the same. And that's how you get, like, say, a scarf or a rectangle afghan. If you are decreasing on both sides, then the number of squares in each row goes down by 1. Okay, so, and then we have a few links here. We have our YouTube channel. We have our Facebook group. We have a MeWe group if you don't like Facebook. We have our Patreon. Oh, this is actually Mikey's from the Crochet Couches. YouTube. He starts in a different corner than I do, which is why I wanted to make the video but I really like his videos. All right, and then here's our YouTube channel. So then you got this written here, like I said, and then you have this one. These are exactly the same. You don't have to use both of these. They are exactly the same. Like, look, row 15, row 15. You're working up. This one actually gives you more information. You have 7 blocks, and you have 2 white, 3 red, 2 white. All right, then you have your graph, because some people, they like to work from the graph. Some people like to work and start on this side, so they don't want to use the written. It really doesn't matter, though. Like, you could use this and never look at the graph. I don't even look at the graph when I'm crocheting. I think it's too confusing. I just look at this. I'll show you mine. This is what I use to make the heart that we have. I get all of the pages, I fold them up like this, and then I cross them off as I'm doing. That's how I make all of the Graphghans. Now, the pattern also comes with a graph that is blown up because some of them are small. And what you do is you cut, and I'm not going to cut now because I don't have my cutting scissors. I just have my sewing scissors, and we can't do that. But anyway, you would cut here and cut here and cut here and cut here, and then tape it together. You know, like if you have an Afghan, then you have a very large graph if you want to work from the graph. But again, I don't do that. So I'm going to put all of these together. This is how you read from our pattern. I don't even use all of that. I just use this. This is all that I use. So I fold it up because that's just how I like it. This one, of course, is very short, but sometimes I have several pages, you know, and on both sides. But this is just a small square, so that's good. Now, I do have people asking about the bobbins, like, how do you know how many bobbins you need? How much do you wind on a bobbin? Typically, I don't know how many bobbins you need. Like, I can tell right here that I'm going to need 3 bobbins because I have 3 different colors. As far as how much yarn, you know, I just roll them up. Usually what I do is I use my little yarn winding thing, and I have it here. I just have one of these really cheap ones. I ordered an expensive one from Amazon, but I didn't actually like it, so I returned it, and I just keep my cheap one here. I usually do 50 turns on here. And then, well, here, I'll show you. Then I put my clothespin right here. And I cut it, you know. I put my clothespin right here and just slide the yarn right up on the clothespin. And that makes for really neat skeins of yarn. I'm going to see if I have any of those handy. I do not. Okay. Well, that's okay. You can roll them however you want to. These, getting ready for today, I just wrapped them up really quick. So sometimes if I just have a real tiny spot in an Afghan, then I won't, you know, make the bobbins big. If I'm working on an Afghan that has, like, you know, big patches of color, you know, then I'll put as much yarn on it as I can. But anyway, so we're going to get started on the crocheting part. I'm going to see if I can't get this down just a little bit closer so that you can see. So to get started, I just, you know, do your beginning knot and pull that through. All right. I'm going to show you where it says here. It says, with white, chain 6, double crochet in 4th chain from hook, and in the next 2 chains, turn 1 square made. This would be square 1A. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I am going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now it says double crochet in 4th chain from hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to double crochet in that one. So I'm going to yarn over, put it through the loop, and do my double crochet. And I apologize if this is slow. I'm trying to go slow because typically I tend to go too fast. And I want to make sure that it stays within camera view because sometimes, you know, I go off. All right, so now we're going to do it in the next 2 chains. So we're going to do one here, double crochet, and do it in the last one, double crochet. And this is, if you're right-handed, the front side of your afghan. And that is your first square. It doesn't look like a square, does it? But that is your first square. So now you turn. So we're going to turn. And if I was on here, I would be crossing this off. I did 1 white. All right, so now my next one is 2 whites. So how do I do it? It says chain 6, double crochet in 4th chain from hook and in next 2 chains. All right, that's pretty much what I did before. So I'm going to do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in the next 2. So let me do my double crochets in that chain. So I have 3 double crochets total. There we go. All right, now it says in the chain 3 space on the previous row, you will slip stitch, chain 3, and 3 double crochet. And this would be square 2B of the graph. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to, do you see, like here's our 3 double crochets from the previous row. And then this is our chain 3. So in between that chain 3 and the double crochet, that's where I'm going to slip stitch. Just put my hook in there and slip stitch. Okay, now I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to do 3 double crochets in that same space. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Nice. All right, so now I've got row 1 with 1 block, row 2 with 2. Now I was actually working down because see, this is our front side. All right, so now row 3. And you really don't even have to worry about that. I'm going to mark this off here. You don't even really have to worry about the ups and the downs or the fronts and the back unless you're crocheting just from the graph. But if you're using this, it really doesn't matter. You just make sure that you have enough blocks, you know, and that's it. It's really not hard. Okay, so chain 3, or row 3 says chain 6, double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook and in the next 2 chains. So, okay, I'm going to do turn. That's what I've been doing. And this is actually increasing. And if you remember, I said when you're increasing at the beginning and the end of a row, then each row will have 1 more square than the previous row. You see this row 1 had 1 square, row 2 had 2 squares, row 3 is going to have 3 squares or 3 blocks because I'm still increasing. We haven't got to the decrease yet. We won't decrease until the beginning of row 12. So rows 1 through 11, we're doing increase at the beginning and increase at the end of each row. All right, so we're going to turn. I'm going to do that chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to double crochet in the 4th chain from the loop. We got double, double, double. All right, now we're going to do that same thing. It says in the chain 3 space on the previous row, you will slip stitch, chain 3, and 3 double crochet. This would be square 3B of the graph. Okay, so that same thing. This is the previous row. We had our 3 double crochets here, and then here's our chain. So this space right there, we're gonna slip stitch, chain 3, and then 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. All right, now the last row is the same thing. It says, in the next chain 3 space on the previous row, you will slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochet, turn. This would be square 3C. So again, it's the same thing. We had our 3 double crochets. Here's our chain. We're gonna work in that space. So I'm going to slip, make sure you can see it, slip stitch in that space. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now you can see we got 1, 2, 3 blocks. So for anybody that has this, we're actually going to keep working this up until row 11 to the decreases. So if you want to skip through, feel free to skip through because we are gonna just keep increasing. We're gonna do a color change though starting on row 8. So, you know, you may even want to just skip ahead to row 8. But anyway, so we're gonna look at row 4 here. And it is the same as before. Chain 6, double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. And in the next 2 chains, this would be square 4A. In the next chain 3 space on the previous row, you will slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochet. So this is exactly what we've been doing. So we're just going to continue that. And I'm just going to do that here. So I got to turn, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to double crochet the 4th chain from the hook. And in the next 2. Okay, got it. Now, in that space, got 3 double crochets, and then that chain, we're going to slip stitch in that space, chain 3, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to do the same thing in the next one. Got our 3 double crochet in our chain. We're going to go in that space there, slip stitch, chain 3, and do 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3. All right, we're going to do it in the very last one. We got our 3 double crochet. There's our chain. So we're going to do it in this space here. Slip stitch, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. I've been getting kind of slack and crossing off my writings here. So white 3, white 4. You can see I should have 4 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. I do. So I'm going to turn. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. And in the next 2 chains. Okay. And I don't know, I guess I just do this, you know, automatically. Kind of make that space bigger. 2, 3. Double, 1, 2, 3. This is one when you're not changing colors, you really can pretty much feel it in crochet. You know, like if you know you're going on to your next block, you can just feel that part right there. All right, slip stitch, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, we're gonna slip stitch, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. And we're going to slip stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, so that is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is our right side because it's an odd numbered row and I am right-handed, and I worked up. All right, so this is like the top of the square here. This is the bottom of the square. All right, so now as you can see, this is the back. So this is how I feel like I'm working down, because this is the back side of the Afghan. All right, let me flip that back there. So now I'm going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Double crochet in 4th chain from hook and in next 2 chains. All right, then we're going to do our slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and again slip stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. One good thing about this corner to corner is it, you know, once you get the hang of it and it clicks for you, there's so much you can do. You can add names to Afghans. You can do random patterns. You can do like pictures. You can work them out on your own graph paper, or you can purchase one of ours. We have hundreds and hundreds. I actually think we have close to 1,000 of the corner to corners. Because those are the ones that we started with, because I wanted to make something for one of my kids, and I wanted to have a picture on it. So, there we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And let's see, that should have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 6 squares. All right, now we're gonna do a row of 7 squares, then we get to do the color changes. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Double crochet in 4th chain from loop. Okay. And there are several videos I know people have made on bobbins, on changing colors. Not everybody changes colors the same way. There's some on decreases. So if my video isn't helping you, then I would encourage you to, you know, just search on Google and find some good ones who you like. I like Mikey from the Crochet Crowd. When I very first learned corner to corner, his was the first video that I watched. Typically, because I learned to crochet from a book, typically I like the written patterns, but for some reason, this one just, I don't know, it didn't click for me right away. And so I found a video, I don't know if somebody referred me to it or what, and I watched his, and it's like, oh, got it, I got it. And, you know, he's so darn funny. I ended up watching a few of his other ones and loved them. And now, you know, now he has videos on how to read patterns, which, you know, I refer to people all the time because it's great. You know, the whole new world opens up to you when you can read patterns. So that part is great. But you know, for these corner to corners, you actually don't even have to know how to read patterns. Once you get to stitch and you know you have your little word chart here, you really don't even have to read patterns. But there really is so many fantastic patterns out there that I highly recommend you watch his video on how to read crochet patterns if you don't know how and would like to. Okay, so that's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. All right, so now we're going to start our color changing. Let me get this in the thing for you. So we're going to do 2 white squares, 4 red squares and then 2 white squares. So let's see how that's gonna go. All right, so we're gonna work them though the same way that we have been working. So we're gonna chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, double crochet in 4th chain from hook. 1, 2, 3. You're going to be seeing me wind a new bobbin because I see this one is almost done. All right, now we got 2 whites. Yep, 2 whites. So I'm going to do my slip stitch, chain 3, and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you remember, I said when you change colors, you're going to go to the very end of that last double crochet, the last 2 loops on the hook. That's when you're going to change the color, and this is how I do it. So I'm going to change now to red. So what I do with this, I just put this right on my work like that. That way it doesn't get all over the place. Now I'm going to get my red bobbin and pull this out. And, you know, leave about a 6-inch tail or so. Then I'm going to just pull that red through. And I'm kind of holding on to the end because I'm going to crochet it in the next block. But anyway, I'm just going to do the same stitches. I'm going to slip stitch here. Chain 3. Whoops. 1, 2, 3. And do 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. All right, now I do find it helpful to sometimes, you know, give a little tug on the back of these strings to keep this, you know, neat and tidy. All right, so how many am I doing? Oh, whoops, I did the white. I'm going to do 4 red, okay? So that's 1. I'm just going to 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, that's 2 red blocks. All right, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch, chain 3. Now you notice this is my last red block, so I'll be connecting white here in a second. All right, we got 1, 2, 3. I'm at that last thing, so I'm going to take this bobbin. I'm just going to clip that onto my work. Sometimes what I do is I'll put it, like put the yarn, make sure it's in there and do that. That way it can't unravel. Because if you got a big afghan, you want it to be as organized as possible. Now I will say that when you're working on a big afghan, if the pattern is too complex, the bobbins can be a real pain in the butt. But to me, they're better than having a bunch of skeins rolling all over the floor and having your yarn tangled. But again, you know, other people have different ways of doing it, so you just find what works best for you. Now these clothespins that I got them from the Dollar Tree. When I lived in Nebraska, the Dollar Trees didn't have them, so that's why I ended up making the cardboard ones. When I moved to Colorado, their Dollar Trees did have them. Now, they are available online, though. If you go to dollartree.com, you do have to order a package of 12, and there's 6 clothespins in each package, but you know, I think I've purchased more than that because you need quite a few if you're doing an afghan. All right, so anyway, we're doing the white, so I'm just going to pull that through like I did before, and like I have that end, I'm just going to crochet it in this first block. All right, so there's my chain, or my slip stitch, my 1, 2, 3 chain, and then my 1, 2, 3 crochet, double, and then we're going to slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. All right, so now we're going to flip it over. I did my 4 red, my 2 white. So now it says to do 3 white, 4 red, and 2 white. So we're gonna do that. So I gotta do my chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Double crochet in 4th chain from hook. All right. Double crochet, and then in next 2 chains. 1, 2. All right, now double crochet. How many am I doing? 3 whites. All right, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then chain 3, and then 1, 2. All right, and this is my last one, so I'm leaving those 2 loops on the hook. I'm getting my bobbin, just putting it on there. Now I'm going to do 4 red. So this is why you don't want to cut, because it's so easy now. I can just unhook my red and just bring it on through. If I would have cut, I would have ends, ends, ends. And you know, you don't want to have ends. So now I'm just going to pick up that red and pull it through. Now sometimes, and you know, again, I tighten that loop. Sometimes you can't help it and you do have to cut. I mean, no doubt there are a lot of ends to weave in when you're doing a Grafghan. I'm not going to lie to you, but you know, there are things that you can do to make it not as many. All right, so now we're going to do our slip stitch, our chain 3, and our 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and we're doing 4 of these reds. All right, now one thing that I do sometimes do is these, when I'm working on them, I'll have like some heavy thing that I kind of clip them to so that they're not flopping all over when I'm crocheting. It's especially helpful if you're working on a big Afghan. All right, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, that's 3 squares. Need 1 more red one. All right, now, and this is a total personal preference here. I notice that I'm working up, which is an odd row, which is the front side of my Afghan. Okay, so I know that this is the front, but I'm seeing an end here. So sometimes, you know, at this point, I'll just kind of pull that through and pull it through to the back. And oh, I got a white one here. I can do that too as well. Just pull that back. Just saves you from having to do it all at the end. All right, so let me get that last red one done. I'm gonna slip stitch, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, darn bobbin, and 3. All right, so I'm at the very, you know, end of that. I'm gonna change color, so I'm just gonna clip that back, and I'm gonna do 2 whites. Okay, and you know, again, just a little tug just to keep them neat and tidy. Don't pull them too tight where it gets, you know, weird. And again, I just kind of tighten that a little. All right, so we slip stitch, we did the chain 3. Now we need 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 1 more white. We're going to slip stitch, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. Okay, got the 2 white. Now we're gonna turn our work. I just kind of flip it around there. All right, so we've only got 2 more rows until we start to decrease. If you're skipping through, I'm gonna take this off for a second. We are on row 10. So I'm gonna do my chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My double crochet in 4th chain from hook. Right there, my double crochet in the next 2 chains. Okay, and then we're doing 2 whites. I gotta do 1 more white square. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm gonna have to connect another white to that. I have a white here. I actually am using a little more than I thought I would. You know what? It's not exactly the same, but I'm not really caring because this is just a sample, so it's gonna be fine. Let me get it rolled up. This is a very messy one. I have a feeling that my dog might have gotten into that one because it's very messy. Now this thing here, you know, I used to do this little join all the time. And see, you can pull that as tight as you want and that's not going to come apart. And then you cut. However, I worked with a slippery yarn one time and oh, it did not stay and the whole afghan came apart and it made me cry. So I don't actually recommend doing that. Just have a few extra ends. But anyway, just for the video. All right, so we did our 2 white. I'm gonna put this sloppy one over here. Now we're gonna do 5 red. All right, let's do 5 red. All righty, now, as you can see, we're gonna kind of, we didn't go all the way to over to here. We're over here. It's okay to do this with a couple of blocks. It won't show through, I promise. You can see how this is. You can't see that I carried wonky. And I'll do this for up to 3 squares. After that, I will cut. But anyway, I'm just gonna kind of pull this through, do a little tighten, you know, with my back white. And then I'm just gonna kind of crochet over, kind of pretend that's like an end. I'm just going to crochet over it. So I did my slip stitch, my chain 3, and then my 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to go over to here, slip stitch, chain 3, and then a 1, 2, 3. Now, it's right here where I carried that, but again, in an afghan, you're not going to be able to tell that, and it doesn't show through here because you're already crocheting here. It's showing a little bit more here than what it normally would because I'm crocheting looser during this video, it seems. And I'll show you a different way, a quick little thing to do if you are a loose crocheter like I am. All right, so we're going to do 5 red. So I got 2 red. Let me just get 3 more done here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Actually, I'm going to show you this now. So you see how kind of loose this is, and it's got some holes in it. You know, like these holes here seem bigger. But if you notice on this piece, they don't. What that is the standard corner to corner is the chain 6 at the beginning of your new row. And after you do the slip stitch here, you chain 3. However, I crochet loose and I don't like all of the holes. So there's a different method. Instead of chaining 6, you chain 5. And instead of chaining 3 here, you chain 2. So that's the only difference. It does make for less holes. But because the 6 and 3 chains are standard corner to corner, that's what we're going to do the video in. But when we're done with this, you are going to see that it looks different than the one I did previously, just a little different. It's because of the holes and the chains. But if you're a tight crocheter or an average crocheter, then do the chain 6s and the chain 3s. If you're a very loose crocheter, do a chain 5 and a chain 2. All right, so we're going to do one more here. 1, 2, 3, and then 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoops. Okay, so I didn't leave my last 2, so I'm just going to take that off, pull gently, and put that through the last 2 there, because I got to do the white. That was 5. Now I'm going to do 3 white. All right, so pull through, slip stitch. I kind of tighten that a little bit. All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Now, it goes without saying, whichever chain you do, the chain 6s and the chain 3s, or the chain 5s and the chain 2s, you still do 3 double crochets in the block. I mean, as you can see, just to be sure, see, I still have 3 double crochets in the blocks. All right, now we're on our last one. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. All right, that was row 10. Now, so we're going to do row 11, and then we're going to decrease. Now it says to decrease for both sides the beginning of row 12. So I'm going to do row 11 exactly like I have been doing it, doing the increase. Okay, so row 11, I'm still going to work the same. So I'm going to flip this over here, get my bobbins. We're going to do the chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook and in the other 2 chains. Alrighty. Okay, now how many whites am I doing? I'm doing 4 whites. All right, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 3 doubles. 1, 2, 3. All right, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 more. I did the slip stitch, the 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. All right, now that's the end. That's 3, so we're gonna leave the last 2 on there, unhook our red and carry it over. We're gonna do 4 red. Again, I just gave that a little tug, just a little tugs so that the loops aren't all out of proportion. I'm going to slip stitch, chain 3, do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And you notice I'm not even looking at the graph. I'm not looking at those colored blocks. You do not need to compare them. You know, some people, I've seen that they compare this paperwork, you know, to the graph and work that, and you know, you don't need to, I promise. I'm not even looking at the graph, and I promise this is gonna come out and look just like the picture because we've got it all wrote down. We do use computer software, and then we've made a few ways to error check to make sure that the counts are right. You know, I'm not saying you'll never ever find an error, but we do, you know, definitely make it right if there is an error. But it's very rare that you will find an error. Very rare. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're gonna cross that off. We're gonna click this on here. Now we're gonna do 3 whites. Okay, this is exciting. We're almost at the end of our increasing. And as you notice, the rows have gotten longer, and each one has had one more square, you know, than the previous row. All right, so I just tightened that up a little bit. Now I'm gonna pull this over, give a little tug there, and I'm just going to do a slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, and you see that I'm crocheting over this white one that I carried. Okay, now we're gonna do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Now we're gonna go, so not there, I see. 1, 2, 3, but for this square it doesn't matter. 1, oh, that's one I made. 2, 3. All right, and then slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, ta-ta, we're gonna start decreasing now. So we're still gonna turn our work just like we were. All right, now the instructions say to decrease for both sides beginning of row 12. So that means this side that we're working on, and then also this side here, you know. So, ew, that's actually not a white, that's an off-white. So sometimes it'll just say decreasing this side and still increasing the other side. So you'll have to pay attention, you know, to what that says. But once you start decreasing on a side, then you decrease on that side for the rest of the project. All right, so I'm gonna go back through here and just go the decreasing. Normally, what do we do here? We do a chain 6. We double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook, and then in the next 2 chains. That's actually increasing. We don't want to do that. We're going to decrease. So what does it say at the beginning of the row? The decrease at the beginning of the row is slip stitch across the first 3 double crochets from the previous row. In the next chain 3 space on the previous row, you'll slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochet in space, and continue pattern, changing colors according to the graph. So basically, we are going to, I'm going to just pull that out so I can show you before I actually do it. We're going to slip stitch here, slip stitch here, slip stitch here. That basically gets us over to here, that space. Like here's our 3 double crochets and there's the chain. We want to just start working here. We don't want to do the chain 6 and make a square here because we want to decrease, okay? So we're just going to do slip stitches. So what I do is I usually bring that yarn behind my hook just to make it easier. And I just slip stitch at the top here. I slip stitch here. And I slip stitch there. There. Now I'm right here. And this is where I want to be. So I'm going to just slip stitch in here, and now I'm going to work it like normal. I'm going to chain 3 and do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. My bobbin's kind of yucky. Oh, I'm sorry. You can see that bobbin? My dog did get it. Sorry about that. Doesn't look very professional, but It is what it is. All right, so, and we're gonna do 2 white squares. So now we're gonna do the next one. Now for decreasing, the only time that it's different is at the beginning or end of a row. The whole middle of the rows, you do just like you were before. So we're just gonna slip stitch, chain 3, and do 3 double crochets. 1, a 2, and a 3. Now we're at that end because we're only doing 2. So I'm gonna get my bobbin over here and clip. Now we're going to do 5 red. And again, I'm gonna have to carry this over a little bit. So I'm gonna just hook that and put it in. I'm gonna give a little tug back here. And again, I'm gonna just kind of crochet over this red thing so it's not hanging there. I'm gonna slip stitch, 1, 2, 3, and do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. All right, and then we're gonna, how many are we doing? We're doing 5. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. 3 and 1, 2, 3. What is that? 1, 2, 3. So now we need 2 more red blocks. Alrighty. 1, 2, 3. 1 more red block. Slip stitch, chain 3. And then 1, 2, 3. Now I will say, I didn't finish it because we're going to change colors to white. I will say that sometimes when you're working on a smaller project, like placemats or scarves or something, sometimes the bobbins are more trouble than they're worth, and it's not so hard to keep your yarn sorted when you're working on a smaller project. These mostly are when you're doing like bigger ones like Afghans, but I wanted to show them to you in this sample so you could see what I meant about using the bobbins. But if I were making this and not doing a tutorial, I probably would not use the bobbins. All right, so now I got to do 3 white. So I'm going to give that a little tug, kind of pull it in there. All right, now I'm going to slip stitch. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, that's 1 white. 1, 2, 3. 2 and 3. And then 1 more. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now, if you were not decreasing, you would say, oh, hey, I have another block left. Uh-oh, but we're going to decrease, so that's fine. We did our 3 whites. So now, what does our instructions tell us? They say the decrease on the end of the row is slip stitch in the last space and turn. Do not make a block in the last space. Wow, that sounds easy. We're going to slip stitch. Boom, that's it. You just decreased. See? Simple, simple, simple. You just don't make a block there. So you decrease. So now we should have, even though it's row 12, we should only have 10 blocks. So let's count them. 1. And I have had people ask me if they count this block. You do not. You count the blocks that you worked from the last row. That's it. You don't, all the ones that you worked from row 12, not any that you worked from row 11. So you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And yes, we should have 10 blocks. And that's how you can always tell if you've made a mistake or anything, is, you know, your blocks are all counted out for you. Now, I have had some people, you know, they'll be off at 1 block or so, and they're like, that's not going to make a difference. It will. It almost always will. Now, once in a while, you can find a way to cover it up, you know, maybe do some funky manipulating, but I would recommend that if you don't have exactly the number of squares that you need at the end, to find your error, you know, find it. And that's the good thing about these, is it's so easy. Like, you just go back, white 2. Do I have 2 white? 1, 2. Yep. Do I have 5 red? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. 3 white? 1, 2, 3. Yep. So, you know, there's no error. If you don't have that with your space at the beginning and the end, how they're supposed to be, then you have an error somewhere. The most common error, I'm going to show you that one. So we're going to flip this over, because this is the error that I make the most often, and it's the error that when I'm helping somebody, they seem to make the most often. So now we're doing white 3, red 4, white 2. Now remember, we are decreasing for both sides now. So again, we're not going to do a chain 6. We're totally done doing chain 6s. Now we're decreasing for the rest of the Afghan. All right, and let me get that back there. From our previous square that we did, you know, here's your 3 double crochets. All right, so I'm going to slip stitch in the top of those, and then I'm going to slip stitch in that space. All right, so this is the beginning row decrease. Actually, I'm going to flip that yarn there, and it doesn't matter, just whatever you feel like doing there. So I'm going to slip stitch in the first double crochet, slip stitch in the top of the second double crochet, and slip stitch in the top of the third double crochet. So that kind of gets me up there to where I need to be. Now I'm going to do my slip stitch here for my block and chain 3 and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And you can tell now that you're getting a corner. See? Okay. So let's see. So we're doing 3 white. So anyway, this is a very, very common mistake, so I'm going to show it to you. What I do, and I do this, I slip stitch and I chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then for whatever reason, I don't know why, maybe I'm daydreaming, instead of doing my 3 double crochets like I'm supposed to, I just go over here and slip stitch. And so, yeah, when I'm done, I don't have enough squares, and so I got to go back and find it. And 9 times out of 10, that's what it is. Sometimes I've counted wrong, but usually that's what it is. So, you know, definitely look for that too. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3. Because, let me actually explain that a bit. If I would have skipped that one like I, you know, just showed you, and then did a white here, and then did a white here, because I need 3 whites, then I would have did my 1, 2, 3, 4 reds, and then I would have come to the end, and I only have room to make 1 white, because, you know, I'm decreasing here, but I need 2 whites, so I don't have enough. I wouldn't have enough. And that's why, because I skipped a block. But again, it's a very common error, so just go back and look. You know, if you are at the end of the row and you don't have enough room to make your blocks, that's almost probably what you did. All right, so I need 3 whites for this row. I've got 1, 2. I need 1 more white for this row. 1, 2, 3. And a 1, 2, 3. All right, so we're gonna clip that there, mark off our white 3. Now we got 4 red, so just gonna pull that up through. And again, I give that a tug there. And we're gonna slip stitch 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, Okay, whoops, that was to chain 3. Then 1, 2, 3. And how many are we doing? We're doing 4. Okay, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then one more here. Slip stitch, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, whoops. This is my last one. I need to change color, so I'm gonna kind of pull that off. Pull very gently, so I just have, oh, whoops, pulled too far. Okay, that's fine. So we'll just put that in there, and then we'll do the stitch again. There, that's where I want to leave it, because I got 4 reds, and now I need 2 whites. So we're going to do, again, a little tuggy. I'm going to do my slip stitch, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. Now I'm just going to slip stitch here because this is a decrease, so I'm just slip stitching. I'm not working a square in that last one. That's that, and I turn. Okay, and that was 2 whites. Ooh, just a few more rows, then we're done with the bobbins. All right, so basically right now, there's nothing new. It's, you know how to do it from here. We went over bobbins and color changes and decreases. I am going to finish this up online here to kind of show you the difference in the two when I'm done, but there's no new information coming. So if you want to stop here, you got it. All right, so I'm going to be doing the decrease. So I'm going to slip stitch in the top of 1, top of 2, top of 3, slip stitch there, and then we got the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. How many are we doing? We're doing 3 whites, so that's 1. Oh, I might have told a little fib. We have one other little funky color changing thing that I do. I don't know if other people do it, but we're going to do it for this one. Here in just a second. So 1, 2, 3. Now I have to make one more white, but look, I'm at the red. So what I do is I just kind of bring that red up with my thumb, just so that it's there and kind of caught. And I crochet over that. So I do the slip stitch. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm crocheting over that. 1, 2, 3. Now, you can see, like you can see it right here. You can see that. But when you have an Afghan, to me, you don't notice where that is. Like, I mean, looking at this, and then even looking at the back, you can't point that out really quick. But if you don't like that, if you don't like that, you can cut the yarn there, and then, you know, just reattach it. You don't have to do it that way. It's just all a personal preference. So now I need to pull that through those 2 loops. And that was our white 3. Now I'm going to do red 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And slip stitch 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And one more. 1, 2, 3. 1, that was our red 3. Now we need 2 whites. And if you notice, each row is getting shorter and shorter. This is like the fun part. It feels like you're getting done faster and faster. All right, so we're going to slip stitch 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, now we are decreasing, of course. So I'm not going to work a square here. I'm just going to slip stitch. I'm not going to do the chain 3 or anything. I'm just going to flip it over. So I'm done with that row now. All right, and that was our white 2. So we just have a few more rows. So now we got to do white 2. So again, we're decreasing, so no chain 6. We're just going to slip stitch over in the top of these 3 double crochets from the last block on the last row. We're going to slip stitch there in that space, then chain 3, then do a 1, 2, 3. How many we're doing? We're doing 2 whites. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Alrighty, 3 reds. Give it a little tug. Pull that through. Little tug on the white. Slip stitch 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, if my tutorials aren't doing it for you, and Mike is from the Crochet Crowd isn't doing it for you, there is on Annie's, anniescatalog.com, you can search C2C, and you will find a DVD series from Sarah Zimmerman from Repeat Crafter Me. She's got a DVD series on there showing you how to do, there's a hair, showing you how to do corner to corner too. And, you know, so everybody responds, you know, better to different ways of teaching. So, you know, if these aren't doing it for you, maybe give her video a try. That might help. All right, now 2 whites. So we're gonna pull this through, slip stitch 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. It's getting a little knotty here. All right, then we need one more white one. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're not going to do this square because we're decreasing, so we're just going to slip stitch and be done and turn. All right, this is our last row with bobbins. You can see here we have the bobbins here, but then down here these are just whites, so you know we can just use whatever. So I will be clipping these at the end here. Like I'll be clipping this white one at the end, and then I'll be clipping the red. So I have to do, what does it say? 2 whites. All right, so again, we're decreasing, so I'm just going to slip stitch in the top of these 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to slip stitch in the space, chain 3, do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. All right, do one more. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. All right, so I will be clipping that. let's see, this is my back, so I'm going to leave it here. Now I'm going to tug that a little. And what am I doing? I'm doing 2 reds. So I'm going to pull that through, give this a little tug, do 2 red squares. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1 more slip stitch. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. All right, so that's the last red square we're doing, so I'm clipping it. And now all we're doing is white, and we're decreasing at the beginning and the end of each row, so we don't even really have to do any counting. Really, we're just crocheting now, so that's nice. So I'm gonna, bring that over, tighten that a little. This is, where I carried it, you can see, so I'm gonna slip stitch and kind of crochet over that white there. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. All right, and 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. And I will not be doing a square in this last row because we're decreasing. Just doing the slip stitch, and then we're done. And we flip. All right, and we can even, just to make sure we're right, we have 6 blocks. Should have been in that last row. 1, let me get it all in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, yep, we're right. That's good. That would be terrible if we didn't have the right amount and I showed you wrong. Okay, we're decreasing, so I am slip stitching across those 3 double crochets from the last row. Now I'm going to slip stitch in that space. 1, 2, 3. All right, I think you guys pretty much got it now, but like I said, I wanted to show you the difference in the squares with those chains. But now, you basically you can do anything that you want. The only thing that you need to be careful of when you're doing the corner to corner is the graph size. As you can see, the corner to corner blocks are relatively big. Each block contains a chain 3 and 3 double crochet. That's a big block. It's a heck of a lot bigger than, say, 1 single crochet. So if you have a graph, that is too large, it might look great in single crochet, but it's going to be 15 foot long in corner to corner. And so that's something that you do need to watch out for. And some graphers will tell you, some of them are a little deceptive. Because here's the thing, to get an image on, say, a graph that is 200 squares by 200 squares is pretty easy, like it is. However, if you tried to work that up in corner to corner, it would be huge. But, some graphers, they don't care. They say you can use this graph for single crochet, TSS, corner to corner, mini corner to corner. And that's just, you can, but, do you really want to make your baby a 15-foot Afghan? Thinking no. So what you do is you find out your gauge. And then once you know your gauge, you'll be able to figure out exactly how big the Afghan will be with that number of blocks. Let's see. Ooh, it looks like I'm running out, so I'm going to just add that other one on here in a minute. I'll show you as soon as I'm done with this one. I'm going to bring this other bobbin on because I ran out of yarn. And I'm just going to pretend it's a color change rather than tying it because we're kind of in a hurry. And I'm just kind of crocheting over that. I'll weave in those ends later. I'll show you how to figure that out real quick at the end of this video so that you can see if the graph that you're looking at is going to work for what you want. I mean, because, you can crochet any graph, but again, it's the size that is going to make a difference. All right, and this is my front, so I'm actually going to pull these through here so that they're on the back. And likewise, you know, I have some people that want to make one of my corner to corner graphs. They don't understand corner to corner, so they want to use single crochet. And again, you can, however, it's going to be quite a bit smaller than what I have said in the pattern. So for me, when I am doing these with regular yarn and doing the chain 3s and whatnot, if I'm doing a corner to corner, if I do 10 rows by 10 rows, you know, 10 rows, and then I measure from down, if I measure from here to here, and then from here to here, you know, to the ends, it is 8 inches. When I do single crochet or the Tunisian simple stitch, 10 rows is 3 inches by 3 inches. Like, big difference. So, you know, that is, ooh, we're almost done here. That is, you know, definitely something you gotta watch out for. Same as if you're, you know, looking online for, say, some cross stitch graphs, and you want to make those into a corner to corner or a single crochet. You can, but you just got to be wary of the size. And that's why I did my gauge in 10 rows, because then it's easy to figure out how big stuff will be. I'll show you in just one second. Just want to get this finished so that I can lay these side by side and show you. Alrighty. There, one more square to do. Just one more square. See, we're gonna decrease over. 1, 2, 3. This is exciting. We did a whole square here. 1, 2, 3. And then we just slip stitch that, and we're done. Okay, so I wanted to show you the difference here. Now, try not to look at the colors because I got it off white here. All right, so you can see this one, and then here is the other one I did. See, there is a difference in size. This one is a little smaller, and it looks a little tighter. It's a little harder to see, I think, in the smaller ones. See, I can pull that and you can really see it. I can pull that. I mean, I guess you do, but if you were here to feel them, they do feel different. But it's because instead of doing the chain 6, like I did on this one, I did a chain 5. And then I did a double crochet in the 3rd chain from hook and the next 2 chains. And then instead of doing the chain 3 after I slip stitched, I did a chain 2. But again, personal preference, personal preference. So back to the how to figure it out. All right, so for corner to corner, my gauge is 8 inches for 10 rows. So let's say that a graph is 80 by 80. All right, so what you do is you go 80 times 0.8. All right, we'll put it down here just so that it's easier to multiply. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 8 is 64. Oh, bring decimal point over. 64 inches. All right, that same graph done in single crochet, because remember I said that my single crochet for 10 rows is 3 inches. So you would do 80 times 0.3. So we're going to put it down here to do it, to make it easier. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 8 is 24. decimals over 1, so the decimals over 1, it would be 24 inches. So if you have a graph that's 80 by 80, if you work it in corner to corner, and your gauge is like mine, it'll be 64 inches by 64 inches. If you work that exact same graph in single crochet, it's going to be the 24 inches by 24 inches. So we've went over the graphs. We've went over how to do this. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me. You can email me kim@thecrochetcouch.com, and I will be happy to help you. Please try to be specific in what you're asking, because if you just say, I don't understand that I need help, then I don't know what you mean. Like, what don't you understand? Do you not understand how to decrease something in the pattern? You know, you got to help me out a little bit and tell me what you don't understand. I really do recommend, though, joining our Facebook group at The Crochet Couch. It's facebook.com/groups/The Crochet Couch. We have, at the time of this recording, we have over 11,000 people there, and there's always somebody willing to help you, one of our admins or even some other crocheters. Great community. If you don't like Facebook, though, we do have MeWe, and it's just MeWe.com. You can click on this link, or you can probably just go to MeWe.com and search The Crochet Couch. Last I looked, we had over 10,000 members there. Some of the members are in Facebook and MeWe. Some of them just don't like Facebook, and so they want an additional social media outlet, and so we have the MeWe. But there's always people there and admins that can help you too. But you are more than welcome to email me. And my email is in the patterns as well, kim@thecrochetcouch.com. And we'll get you all the help that you need. All right, well, thanks very much for watching it. And happy crocheting, everybody.